Good evening and welcome to the next episode. As a vegetarian, I never really paid attention to fishing. And recently I became curious about do digital technologies apply to the fishing industry? And I found things that are quite fascinating, to say the least. For those of you that are not familiar with the fishing industry, there are two major types of fishing. One is the traditional fishing where we use boats and trawlers and nets and fish hooks and so on, which is called capture fishing. The other big part of the industry is the farming type, like we farm plants, we farm the fish also, and it's called aquaculture. I was quite surprised to note that aquaculture now forms 50% of the fish that we consume, up from 14% 25 years ago. So, this is the fastest growing part of the industry. So, I wanted to first understand what kind of problems the fishing industry faces. So, in capture fishery, one of the big problems is what they call as the bycatch problem. When you catch fish in large quantities using nets, you also capture other sea animals unintended, smaller sharks, turtles, and many of whom are actually endangered species, making the problem even bigger. So when they are put back into the ocean, many of them die because they have been out of the ocean for a while before they are detected and released back. So this is a problem. Overall, it turns out that 60% of the world's waters are fully fished. So we are overfishing actually. And one of the biggest contributors to this is the illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, which is called as the IUU problem in the industry. Approximately 20% of the fish that we consume is through the IUU. Now, in conforming to the 5 A's that I have talked about in the past, whenever there is ambiguity, we tend to outsource or depute a human being to do that. So, to do the IUU problem, the first thing the industry did is to appoint observers who go along with the fish and make a note of what was happening systematically. Now, many of the IUU is happening through bad actors as well, poachers and other big bad actors. So this the life of the observers could itself be in danger. So that presents an opportunity for technology, and the industry came up with what is called as REM, or remote electronic marketing monitoring. So I'm going to share with you an example from Mexico, where Mexican government agencies, fishery cooperatives are using REM technology from a company called Pelagic Technologies from Canada to spot this problem. It's very, very interesting how they solve this problem.
La pesca de la curvina es el sustento que nos mantiene vivos al pescador. No hay un ser humano aquí en el Golfo de Santa Clara que no participe en la pesca de la curvina. ¿Cómo no decir yo voy a cuidar esta área para la vaquita, pero también que no nos quiten la pesca de la curvina, porque pues es de lo que vivimos 100% el pueblo pesquero, ¿eh?
Con tecnologías nuevas como el que es el dispositivo satelital, desde el QR, desde las modificaciones a nuestras artes de pesca, desde cómo se lleva a cabo la pesquería de curvina, se pudiera decir que no tiene que haber una relación directa al asunto vaquita.
El sistema Pelagit sí es un sistema que traemos en las embarcaciones para que así nos ubican, dónde andamos, qué área andamos pescando. Con eso podemos demostrarle al gobierno que pues nosotros no estamos realizando ninguna otra actividad y que no interactúa con ninguna otra especie.
Y otros con tecnología, es una plataforma que se llama Web Control Pesca, diseñada para poder tomar fotos de la embarcación que sale, tomar el escaneo del código de reconocimiento óptico que trae el pescador a bordo. El objetivo es tener información lo más precisa posible sobre lo que está pasando en el mar, lo que está pasando en playa y cómo está llegando el producto a planta y cómo se está vendiendo. Toda esta información es muy útil para saber no solo que se cumple con la cuota, sino para dar información útil para cuestiones de mercado, para vender mejor y de manera más oportuna.
La información beneficia porque ellos así demuestran que nosotros estamos llevando una pesquería responsable.
Estamos haciendo, de hecho, apoyando todo el pescador legal, apoyamos al gobierno a cuidar la vaquita.
Now let's shift gears a bit to the aquaculture industry. Now they have big problems as well. The first problem is the feeds. Now, if you take example of salmon, in the wild they are predatory fish, so you have to feed them other fish. Now, when we are growing hundreds of thousands of fishes in a what they call as a sea pen. You will see examples of that in the later videos that I'm going to share. So you have to feed them other fish, and the feed fish are the smaller fish which are getting depleted in the ocean. So that's causing a problem. So they have had to substitute fish feed with vegetable proteins and other things. The other problem is the diseases that the fish could catch. Chief amongst them, sea lice. Now I was wondering, why isn't this a problem in the wild? When I dug up, I realized that salmon in the wild, they are distributed, right? They are swimming amongst other fish. So even if one salmon catches a disease, it can't easily spread it to other salmon. Whereas in a sea pen, where there are hundreds of thousands of salmon, the disease can spread quickly. So you have to catch the diseased fish quickly, detect them quickly, and then take them or cull them or whatever. Right? So these are the two big problems. And how are they solving the problems? They were doing it manually. So they will feed the fish at a certain time, and you never know. Some fish get overfed, some fish get underfed. Some you're not able to detect the diseased fish easily enough because all of them were manual processes. Yeah, they did use a little bit of underwater cameras and all that, but no sophisticated technology. And that has started changing. The first inspiring example I have is from Microsoft ABB and a Norwegian fishery called Norwegian Royal Salmon. They have done a brilliant implementation of this technology, and you will see the video, and it's quite amazing what they are able to do.
I think it's going to be a huge step. We always want to know how much fish we have in the cages and how many kilos, and if ABB and Microsoft can help with us with that, it's the perfect match for us.
Now, the next example that I want to share with you is from a company called BioSort and another Norwegian fishery firm called Cermaq. They are piloting this device called the iFarm, which is quite dramatic, and it solves all the problems that we have discussed so far: feeds, diseases. Every problem in the fishery industry is solved by a single comprehensive technology. Cermaq has just started a 5-year test of this. It's likely this technology will spread further and make aquaculture even more digitally transformed than it is.
iFarm consists of a custom cage top, a V-shaped passage to the surface, and an iFarm sensor. Salmon naturally swim through the iFarm sensor as they rise to the surface in order to fill their swim bladders. The salmon then return below the cage top to feed. The iFarm sensor scans each fish and uses automatic image processing to uniquely identify each individual. Precise weight and growth are measured for each fish. iFarm measures welfare indicators such as condition factor, injuries, and deformities. A number of symptoms are recognized, including loser fish, winter ulcer, discoloration, and other external symptoms. Sea lice are counted on the entire fish. The operator can tell the system to sort individual fish to customized treatment. Sorting and treatment of only the selected salmon is a revolution compared to current group-based treatment. The fish can be moved gently for the treatment of individual fish, a group of fish, or the entire site. The result is less stress, injury, and disease, and a better appetite. An interactive feeding model improves the feed conversion ratio. iFarm can sort fish by weight and size. Fish above 5 kilograms can be sorted to a separate cage for processing. A warning system detects if fish are missing and makes immediate action possible. Fish with lice can be sorted out. And treatment is only applied to fish that do have lice. The custom top also keeps the fish at a depth with very few lice. iFarm generates reports for all desired data. iFarm advances cage-based farming to a new level.
With that, I thank you all for listening to my coverage of the digital transformation in the fishing industry.